5 minutes for the largest topic I could think of. Okay, this is the conversation I've had the most since I've been here. I'm a documentation operations engineer, so I set up tooling systems for engineering teams. And one of the sticking points that I have in every conversation here is that people don't have an idea of the scope and sort of breadth and complexity of the tooling field that is out there. Stuff you can buy and start using out of the box, or stuff you could set up for yourself. So I'm going to go through that as quickly as I can. Oh crap, my slides look shitty up here. Sorry about that. Hope you have glasses or binoculars. I'll put these online afterwards. Okay, why should you listen to me? I do this for a living. I have biases, but I have been through this whole range and kind of had this conversation a lot. I'm going to go through this super quickly, and then anybody in this room that wants to pull me aside later and have this full conversation, I'll go through this entire matrix with you. It'll be really fun, and we'll figure out. The question I want to answer here is, you're using something now, that's fine. The next job you have, or if it comes time to convert, what are you going to do? What are the questions you're going to ask? So what's a documentation platform? It is a cohesive set of tools for enabling you to write, maintain, and deliver your docs systematically. It's that end-to-end process. It's the whole process that we have there. And sometimes we refer to it as a tool chain. Some of the categories that we have are free open source software versus proprietary, whether it needs heavy collaboration or whether each author is kind of going to be working on their own, whether it has version control or doesn't, or whether it's Git compatible or doesn't, and whether it's for API and developer docs versus end user docs. Some of the popular self-contained tools that we've seen, these are all proprietary, are Madcap Flare, FrameMaker, and database tools. Another category is the wiki and health authoring tools and knowledge base category. The next are the docs as code tool chains. This is the stuff that I mostly work with. They're differentiated by the lightweight markup format that works with each of them. If you're using Markdown as a preferred format, pretty much any static site generator will do, but that's the second component to that tool chain. It will be your output. Restructured text and ASCII doc are very similar to Markdown if you're not familiar with them. They just have tons and tons of other features, and they're made for technical writing, which Markdown is not. They both have other components that are kind of required to make those work, and that adds to the complexity of the tool chain. I'm very sorry for the person doing the simultaneous captioning too. The last thing is the API generator. I'm not going to go into this. If you're doing documentation for an API, you're in a whole category in and of itself there. The biggest question is that I have for people at the beginning is who's going to contribute to the docs. This will be the main factor, I think, in really narrowing these things down. If it's just you or just professional writers, you can use anything. That team can train to learn any specialized system, so it's a wide open field. If it's going to be the staff developers, that puts some limits on it. Now, a lot of the proprietary tools have per seat licensing. There's somewhat of a learning curve, so if the developers aren't going to take a whole day to learn your tool, it might not be the one for them, and it needs to work with their workflow, which a lot of the proprietary tools do not. So here we start seeing that RST and ASCII doc become appealing because writers, believe it or not, engineers really do appreciate working in more complex things than Markdown. But Markdown will definitely work for them as well. And I think if you're going to have end users contributing, here's where we start seeing Markdown as the lightweight markup format is really valuable, or using a wiki style markup is the other option there. But this has to be something that's super accessible. You're not going to be able to train the users almost at all and make them able to contribute. The next big thing is how complex is your product? Do you have multiple editions of the product? Do you have multiple versions that you need to maintain docs for simultaneously? Is it just a SaaS product and there's always one version that's the version? If so, you're lucky. A wiki might work for that. So I don't have time. I'm getting the end signal. I think one of the biggest lesson that I would leave people with is you want the complexity of your tool to match the complexity that is in the perspective of the engineers themselves. So it should look like the model that they use to look at the product itself. This is my card. I'm happy to talk to anybody as long as you want about any of this stuff, so please come find me afterwards. Thanks a lot.